And welcome to Hannity. President Trump continues his foreign trip by meeting with leaders at the G7 summit in Italy. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle in for Sean tonight, who is off for the Memorial Day weekend, and he will be back on Tuesday. President Trump, who has made fighting extremism a staple of his overseas trip, appears to have scored a big win, with G7 nations agreeing to do more to combat terrorism. Now, while the president is getting strong reviews for his diplomatic efforts, many in the mainstream media are still attacking him. Take a look.
The entire world's watching, and of course, most importantly, Vladimir Putin's watching. It seemed like yesterday was his love note to Vladimir Putin. It really did.
There's only one explanation for all of this, and it's all the other stuff that his ally, that his brethren, that his butter, his cake is being buttered somehow with the Russians.
The fact that our president does not respect those allies actually shows more warmth to Putin and his cronies, more warmth to the Saudis, where, of course, the 9/11 terrorists came from. That's really disturbing.
And joining us now with reaction, the host of Michelle Malkin Investigates on CRTV.com, Michelle Malkin. So, Michelle, welcome to the program. Lots to discuss. So far, I want to get your general impressions in terms of President Trump's first foreign trip. How do you think it's going?
I think it's been highly successful, and I think that's why you see all of these Lilliputians in the elite liberal media whining and moaning. What is it that they want out of the leader of the free world, our commander-in-chief, the President of the United States? Well, we obviously know what they prefer. They prefer the world apology tour that Obama conducted for over 8 years. And I don't know if you remember this, Kimberly, but there was a joke T-shirt during the Obama years, you know, kind of like the concert T-shirts you get from your favorite band with all of the greatest hits on the back. And that's what it was like with Obama, time and time again, going overseas, groveling, trashing America. Do you remember in Strasbourg, France, where he called America arrogant, where he apologized to the Muslim world for us taking a stand against terrorism, which he would never do explicitly, of course. All of the whitewashing, the euphemisms, going overseas to Europe and apologizing that America would assert itself and assert and defend its own sovereignty. He called that dictating to the rest of the world. And finally, we have a president who physically and ideologically will elbow, right? Do what he can to make sure that America literally is first in those photographs. And we have these gossip girls in the media who are fretting and moaning about the length of his handshakes with European leaders.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Little crybabies and just like a little band of mean girls running around, just upset about everything, gossiping, texting each other to say, oh, can you believe what the president's doing? I mean, it seems as if they really cannot wrap their heads around the idea that he's doing a great job, that he's been successful, and by the way, that he was far better well received on this foreign trip than he's been treated here in this country.
Exactly. And look what happens when you assert yourself. You command respect.
Yes.
Here, domestically, you had all of these leftist propagandists, the propaganda media, bemoaning the fact that Trump had the gall and the courage to go up at these meetings and say, look, NATO, you ought to pay your fair share. We take the bulk of that burden, and it's time that you put your money where your sanctimonious mouths are. And he's not going to be two-faced about it the way that Obama was, and he's not going to pussyfoot around, and he's not going to use the kind of language and dulcet tones to deal with either our allies or our enemies.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And by the way, why is it a bad thing that the president's like, everybody pay their fair share? I don't know that we need to remind anybody that, listen, we stand, one is attacked, we stand with you. I get the Article 5 thing, but I mean, this is sort of obvious, but people are trying to get away with not paying the money, but they want all the benefits, you know, of the United States backing them up while they run around with gator arms and they can't put their hands in their pocket to pay the dues.
Exactly, Kimberly. And whether we're talking about NATO, G7, or the United Nations, it's the American taxpayer that has been the hero of the world. And finally, we have a spokesman to point that out. I think it's an interesting juxtaposition when you look at the speeches that Donald Trump has given on this tour, the assertiveness tour, as opposed to the apology tour.
Right.
And take Mark Zuckerberg's commencement speech. That is what the liberal media would prefer Trump go overseas and do. That our responsibility is to be citizens of the world rather than American citizens putting America first.
No, it's unbelievable. It's like the socialism apology, tour, the bend and snap tour, like President Obama did. But so the president has got to have, a team and put together to try to combat all of these, stories. We'll talk about, what's going on here at home now, these like Russian collusion investigations and sensational stories that the mainstream media is frothing at the mouth about. So there has been reports that he's going to set up sort of a war room and like street fighters to be able to get out to do the president's messaging. What do you make of those reports?
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad to hear that Steve Bannon is going to be the one leading it.
Agreed.
And it is this assertive stance, a stance of not just sitting back and allowing all of these progressives to hijack the Trump agenda, to hijack the narratives. This is why Donald Trump was put into the White House in the first place. And it is a daily slog. I do not envy the folks in the Trump administration that have to deal with this every single day. It's enough that they have to combat our international and foreign enemies, but the domestic enemies within this country, and specifically, Kimberly, within the Fourth Estate. I think it was important for him to call to the carpet all of these leakers who were the real threats to national security in America.
It's unbelievable the amount of leaks, making America less safe, compromising our national security. It's got to come to a stop. It's completely, affecting his ability to govern and put his policies and his platform forward. But I'm concerned, Michelle, because I feel that he needs the right people around him to get this under control, because this is a man about business. He wants to get these things done. He has every intention of fulfilling his campaign promises. But my goodness, who are these people, that are inside the White House, et cetera, that are obstructionists and essentially almost playing for the other side, crippling the president's ability to get work done? It is frustrating beyond belief.
It is. I couldn't have said it any better than you just did, Kimberly. We've got a West Wing, an East Wing, and a Patriot Wing within the White House. And it's that Patriot Wing, I think, that has to have as much support as possible to make sure that Trump is able to do his job and fulfill his promises. The one last thing I'd say about this trip that I think was especially important was, although it was tragic, it was also timely that the Manchester attack took place to underscore and to provide very sharp punctuation to the Trump agenda and the reason why he is the commander-in-chief of this country, because it's the safety, security, and prosperity of our people that enhances not only our country but the rest of the world.
You're absolutely right. And I'm going to touch a little bit, on the fight against extremism and terrorism. The president very strong on his messaging. I loved it, where he's saying drive them out, and that he was calling them, evil losers. And people are like, oh, don't say losers. That's not very presidential. That's not a good, term to use. I get what he's doing. He's trying to demean them and counteract against the propaganda that's out there that recruits these losers that want to have some relevance in life, that they come forward like this and bomb and blow themselves up and murder innocent little girls.
Exactly. I'll tell you what's not presidential, the way that President Obama talked about and handled terrorism in this country. There were multiple times in the aftermath of jihad attacks when he looked put upon. Like it was just, oh, this again, right? And he couldn't call these enemies what they were. And remember, this is a man ideologically who thinks that the problem with radical Islam and Islamic imperialism is that they don't have enough empathy, right? That we don't have enough understanding, that they need more programs and funding when they've got plenty of all of those things.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me. It's like everything's going to be cured if only we can fix climate change so it doesn't upset and disturb ISIS, and get them a job fair, the ISIS job fair, and also throw in a taco truck for them so that everyone can be happy and fed and feel safe space. Oh, man, I can't take it. You know what I'm saying. All right, Michelle Malkin, ladies and gentlemen, she's the best. Thanks so much for being here tonight.